Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for the Making Progress channel. Today's video, number 50 in our Hopefully Forever series, is about 5 qualities with which you can test your current boyfriend or girlfriend to see if they have what it takes, sort of, and if you have what it takes, to take your relationship to the next level of commitment. Serious dating, engagement, marriage, kids, house, etc. I guess house before kids. You know what I mean. So let's kind of get familiar with this area, what the hell we're talking about. You don't start dating someone. You don't get into a romantic relationship with someone because you get along with that person and resolve conflict super well. You can do that with Bob at work, but you're not dating Bob. You start romantic relationships because of physical attraction, romantic feelings, and or the person is just really, really fun to be around. And not all of these relationships are for the long term. So it's totally cool to have a few weeks, few months of super awesome fun where neither one of you intends on it lasting much longer than that. But if you are in a relationship and you are taking it seriously, and you really like the person, and they have the standalone qualities that you like. For example, they care for you. They're smart. The physical chemistry between you is at least good, possibly really awesome. They agree generally with your values and morals and overall life plan for the future, so on and so forth. Then you may try, and probably should try, to answer the question, do they have the most important set of 5 qualities to go the distance with you? Not to just have fun dating for a few weeks or months, but long term. Because once you like them and the life, hobby, personality, compatibility stuff seems really good, the most important core factor around which there are 5 sub-factors of are you guys going the distance is probably how well do you guys get along during disagreements that you have. Why? Why is this a big thing? This is a super important factor, the ability to get along well in disagreements, because almost everyone gets along well enough, and sometimes really well, when the times are good. But the primary test of long-term relationships and marriages, etc., is how you handle the tough times, not the easy times, and there will be tough times for everyone. Maybe some people have it easier, some people have it harder, but everyone goes through tough times. These kinds of disagreements that you run in during tough times can be anywhere from, listen, you said turn left, but you turned right on the GPS, to stuff like, who's going to wake up to comfort the crying baby tonight? Is it me or is it you? To stuff like, look, we need to figure out a way for me to be able to interact with your stepdad in such a way that I don't want to choke him to death every time I see him. Easy stuff that's super quick and super not a big deal. Medium stuff that's just kind of daily, weekly figuring out your life. And then big stuff that's like every now and again, it's like a really big decision that's tough and maybe you don't even agree on stuff. So your ability to work well through problems is a huge, huge deal. And there are 5 sequential factors, in my view, that determine how well you're likely to work through future problems and thus your long-term compatibility. If you and your partner are doing real well on these 5 factors, the chances that you work out long-term, given initial attraction and compatibility are good, are very high. If you and your partner are doing poorly on these 5 factors, the chances you work out long-term, given the initial stuff was really good, are very, very low. Very low chances. On these 5 factors, which I'll get to in just a second, you need to see how you both do on them. If after a few months, you guys are in the red, one person or both, breaking up is usually the best way forward. because when you don't vet these 5 factors, or you vet them and they come out on the red versus the green, the probability you're going to have an awesome relationship is very, very low. If after a few months, everything's in the green on these 5 factors, you may have a really, really good thing, and you don't have to restrain yourself on compatibility from making potentially deeper commitments with this person, like moving in, like proposing, like getting pets together, like marriage, like buying houses together. And obviously the single biggest decision you can make with another person in a relationship is children together. Now, what are these 5 factors? Here they are. I'll go through all of them in great detail shortly. First is agreeableness. How agreeable or disagreeable are they? And are you? Next, the ability to express desires and disagreements openly versus keeping them in. Next is the ability to remain logical in discussions and arguments versus getting very emotive, using more emotions than logic, and then that's not great. The ability after an argument or a discussion to drop that level of emotive arousal, because you can get pretty heated in an argument. And if you, after 5 minutes, are like totally good versus after 5 years, you're still harboring resentment, big deal. So your ability to be easy after an argument is huge. And then lastly is, do you have a positive trajectory of compatibility together? Which is to say, over time, have you guys seemed to be gelling better or gelling worse? These 5 factors are enormous. If you checkbox all 5 of them green, you're probably going to be doing real well. And the potential to open up a new avenue in your relationship, a new form of deeper commitment, hey, that might be a thing. But if you or your partner aren't doing so well on these, my personal advice is probably don't continue the relationship in any form other than its current loose form. Making bigger commitments when this is a problem is usually a misstep. Not always, but usually. All right, let's take a look at each one of these and talk about how, what they are, and why they're important. So agreeableness is one of the big 5 personality traits. It refers to a person's tendency to be kind, sympathetic, cooperative, warm, and considerate. It's good stuff. And it impacts marriages specifically, and all relationships. I'll be using a lot of marriage examples here, but this is boyfriend and girlfriend stuff 100%. It impacts marriages and relationships in a few predictable ways. And this is data-driven, by the way. There's tons of research on this. Most agreeable individuals are generally less prone to conflict than average, and they're more willing to seek harmonious relations and willing to compromise. The low-key way to say this is they're just better at relationships. That's really what agreeableness is. Agreeable folks tend to provide better emotional support to their partners, enhancing relationship satisfaction. And relationships characterized by high agreeableness in one or both, really it's the net agreeableness, the total sum agreeableness that you want to be as high as possible. If that's high, generally speaking, people in relationships with high agreeableness, low disagreeableness, just tend to have more positive and fewer negative interactions, as research vetted. What does this imply? Extremely disagreeable people rarely have good relationships. They can have a fling that's awesome. And a lot of times disagreeable people are fucking amazing in bed. But a lot of times they don't make such great long-term partners. Now, disagreeableness and agreeableness are on a spectrum. It's not you're either agreeable or disagreeable. Everyone's on there at some point. Everyone changes a little bit. Some days I'm very agreeable, some days just mildly, some days pretty disagreeable, so on and so forth. But the average is a big deal. But if someone you like is very disagreeable on average, you're going to have a hard time, plain and simple. And the probability of long-term success is unfortunately going to be quite low. Can you work through their higher disagreeableness to find solutions? Absolutely. But generally that happens way better if these next 4 factors, they can green checkbox. And if they can't, disagreeable people, they're going to be tough to be in relationships with. All right. Number 2 is the ability to express desires and disagreements openly. Because even agreeable people, you'll get into a tiff every now and again. And you want people in a relationship with you and yourself to be someone who expresses desires and disagreements rather than pretending to like the situation and be in agreement with it, but deep down be upset about it. That's a gnarly trait. Some disagreeable people, in fact, many, are open about disagreement. That's bad because you argue a lot, but it's good because at least you hear what's on their mind and you can work to resolve disagreements. Some relationships work quite well when one person is disagreeable on average and the other is very agreeable on average. And as long as the disagreeable person is communicative, well, I don't like this. The agreeable person will 9 times out of 10 be like, no worries. What do you want to do? What do you like? And they'll just do that. And as agreeable people actually genuinely want to do stuff other people want to do. Disagreeable people a lot of times just kind of want to do what they want to do and not other stuff. And at least one person being agreeable can actually be quite functional because they communicate. However, other disagreeable people are not so great about voicing their disagreement openly. It's not uncommon for disagreeable people to be shy. The disagreeable people you know as disagreeable most often are not shy because they yell about being disagreeing with everyone all the fucking time. But a lot of disagreeable people are actually shy. And so they eat their emotions instead of expressing them, and that can lead to some big downsides. It can lead to latent resentment. Like they never told you they had some problem with shit. Weeks, months, years later, it still ate at them, and they resented you for it. And they could have just squashed it, but they didn't. Bad news. Resentment in a relationship, continual resentment, is poison. Next, they can get into some delayed conflict situations where like you thought everything was Gucci because they didn't say anything. You thought you resolved it because they said you did. But 2 months later, they're like, well, yeah. And it's like that fucking cake incident from October, huh? And you're like, I thought we got through that. I thought we were good with that. And they're like, well, I wasn't good with it. They don't tell you. They don't express their disagreement. And you're going to hear it sometimes not at all, but there's resentment. Sometimes you'll hear it eventually, but in a delayed fashion. And typically, delayed means they already had resentment up until the time they told you. When they told you, it's just more difficult to parse situations that are in the past than situations that just happened. You get a tiff, driving the car home and trying to look at directions, miscommunication, you can squash it. But if you have to recapitulate the threads of argument that were exchanged in a vehicle 2 months ago, I mean, I don't even know. Like a lot of guys, the stereotype is that girls will know exactly everything was said, but guys are like, I have no idea. I don't know how true that is, probably true to some extent, but for guys and girls, it's just not efficient to argue about things that happened a really long time ago. And people who are disagreeable but not open to sharing the disagreement, they're going to set that situation up too often than you want it. You want it never, and they're going to do a whole lot more than never. And what this leads to a lot of times combined is a higher degree of misinterpretation and misunderstanding. Your partner might want to understand your true feelings, but can't, and vice versa. And this lack of communication and transparency is just no good for anyone. Because how can you make the next big commitment to someone if you're not even so sure what they think? Because they tell you what they think, but you're like, I know you don't actually think that. But you're pretending to be agreeable, but you're really disagreeable. And that's how the expressiveness and openness really can shoot you in the foot. It's a bad deal, and it places huge upsides on the ability to openly communicate. Open communication is a big deal and involves kind of two things. One is just a policy of open communication where you have a person has a capacity to openly discuss their thoughts and feelings and desires and concerns without a fear of judgment or retaliation. And the second part of that is the ability to authentically self-express. Honesty and integrity to tell your partner, this is really what I feel and how I think. That's a big deal. Those are two big components of the ability, even if you disagree, to get some traction on those disagreements. Regularly expressing true feelings and disagreements can prevent the buildup of resentment. So if you can do this, it's a big deal. Honesty in expressing some difficult situations can lead to a huge amount of intimacy because you learn something deep about the person. It was difficult for them to get it out. It's a big deal, but they did it because they're honest and have integrity. And when partners are more likely to express disagreements openly, they're just statistically more likely to engage in effective problem solving And they can address a lot of issues before they escalate into nonsensical levels. So it's a big deal. In order to properly do this expression, you have to have a high degree, or the person, your partner here, has to have a high degree of emotional intelligence, which means understanding kind of where people are coming from emotionally rather than just logically. Tuning into people's states, like, is my girlfriend uncomfortable right now? Is she comfortable? So on and so forth. And self-awareness. You actually have to be aware of how you feel and what your desires are and what your needs are. Some people can get a degree of sort of emotive disagreement. They don't quite know what they don't like about the situation or the setup or the problem, the controversy. They just know they don't like it. And if they're not super self-aware, it's sometimes very difficult for them to communicate what it is they don't like because they barely even know. And that's not a great thing. If a person has low emotional intelligence, this is not a great indicator for future success. It's just not. It can be parsed, but with some difficulty. Low self-awareness can be improved, but should be improving in that person over time before you become confident that, hey, like, this is a thing that's going to keep getting better or get up to a level of stability that's good enough. More on that later, because that improvement thing is actually the last point that we have. And it's a little asterisk mini point is that in order to be self-expressive in a relationship, it takes a little bit of courage and confidence, which a person may not have in large amounts. And having these around in abundance in a person means they are huge positive indicators for a person's deep value and potential with you. If they are low on emotional intelligence, if they're low on self-awareness, if they're low on courage and confidence to speak their mind, these things can be raised in many cases. But it's tough. It's tough, and it tilts the probabilities less favorably to the future of that relationship than would otherwise be the case if these people were super high in all those qualities. So far what we have is this. If someone is agreeable and open with their views, this bodes well for the future of the relationship. If a person is disagreeable and not open with their views, like they fucking hate a bunch of shit that you do, but they can't tell you exactly why or don't do it on time, this bodes very poorly. If they are agreeable, but also not super open with their true views that they really think, at some point when a bigger conflict arises, they can't just eat and be like, do you want Wendy's or Taco Bell? They're like, I don't care, even though they want a Taco Bell. Maybe it's a bigger thing. Do you want children or not? You don't just answer that one based on how your husband thinks. The chances that they eat it and are neither happy nor communicating are higher than you'd like. Even if they're agreeable, if they're very bad at communication, you just can't trust that when you go, hey, we're good on this. They're like, yeah, but are we? You don't want to have to ask that question too many times. Because if what your other person in a relationship, what your partner tells you, you can't take at face value generally is like, that's roughly what they think. That's a lot of follow-up and a lot of bad times ahead. Now, let's say all is well here for you on both fronts. So far, your girl or your guy passed all the tests. What happens when disagreements come up and need to be discussed? That's when point number 3 comes up. Huge value of our 5-point plan here is the ability to remain logical in discussions/arguments. Same thing if you think about it. Versus being extremely emotive. Emotions are dope and they're real and they're true and that's what's up. But other than, they don't really say much. And if you have to contend with another individual and align how your lives meet so that you can live well together, there has to be a discussion of external things in the world like you are to each other, and logic has to enter the frame at least to some degree. And if there's so much emotion and so little logic that not a whole lot gets understood, it's not ideal. There are emotions that are awesome, but other emotions like anger and frustration and resentment that if they take over during the discussion of a disagreement, predictably, the disagreement becomes often worse than it was. It becomes more personal. Other things get involved. It's like a fucking tornado that sucks up everything in the room and whirls it around and throws it chair at you and a pencil sharpener, the whole thing. And so if someone's really prone during discussions of disagreement to become angry or resentful versus like, okay, I hear that you have an issue here. Let's logically kind of parse it to get on the same page so we can both understand each other. That's some shit you want. That other crazy psycho shit is not some shit you want. From the research directly, couples who discuss their issues logically are more likely to find satisfactory solutions to their problems. This is the kind of research like, how do you get funding for this? Of course it's fucking true. It's good that they did the research though, so we can say, of course it's true. And that reduces the likelihood of unresolved conflicts, which is a big deal. These couples can also successfully navigate conflicts. And because they can, that strengthens their trust and intimacy. Because if you haven't ever been through a challenge, you don't really know that person. You've been through a bunch of challenges and you logicked your way out of it and shook hands on the other end. A few of those, a few dozen of those, a few hundred of those, and you're really strong together. So when the next challenge inevitably comes up, you already have a great system for it and so much faith in each other that you will pass through this stuff. Like my wife and I, we get into it sometimes. We have some disagreements. I'm fussy and in a mood or some shit, or she's fussy in a mood. But we're really, really good in our relationship, better than average anyway, about being like, oh, yo, breakdown. Let's figure this out logically. I know we both have emotions. I feel that. And then we get to doing it, and it really, really works. And logical conflict resolution, because everyone agrees, kiboshes that conflict, can really reduce the probability of developing resentment over time in a relationship. Things come up, someone's upset, you logic it out to the best of your ability. It doesn't mean you have to like come up with the answer right then and there, but it's a conversation. It might last a little while, but you're trying. And that's a big thing. So far, if someone is agreeable, expressive with their discordant views when they have them versus bottling them up, and handles those discussions of those views more rationally and calmly than incredibly emotively with tons of aggression, you're off to a really, really, really good start. The way you find out that these things are the way they are in your relationship isn't in a formal test. It's not like, well, fill out this questionnaire. It's not that. It's just enjoying and experiencing a relationship with them and seeing what comes. We're never purposefully setting up scenarios to test the partner. That's a bit of a violation of our same team mentality in relationships, which is a great mentality. Like, we're on the same fucking team, man. We want the same thing. We're our two best assets here. Setting someone up for a test they didn't know about, that's fucking weird. We're going to stay the hell away from that. We're just running into natural situations where you have an opportunity to see your partner show off those abilities or flub. And everyone's going to flub here and there. It's all about averages. Over several months, how good are they at resolving disagreement versus how bad, and so on and so forth. If they've done well in all things so far, the next thing you want to know is after disagreements, how long does it take them to chill back out? And that's a big deal. It's our fourth element, and it's a big deal. The ability to drop emotive arousal quickly after argument. This trait refers to the ability to fully resolve issues, or at least close, without holding on to negative feelings or grudges, which can erode relationship satisfaction over time like whoa. Now, it's a spectrum. Some people from a little argument will be livid for days. Some people from a cataclysmic argument that finally resolves will be cheery 30 seconds later like nothing happened, and everything in between. But for any given magnitude of seriousness of an argument, the faster that person that you think you might want to date for longer returns back to being chill, the better. Why? Again, the following statements, 3 statements, are research derived. Letting go of resentment is crucial for long-term emotional health and relationship stability. This has been tested time and time again. Resentment sucks. And it feels so righteous, but it's wrong. A lot of things feel right that are wrong. My psychiatrist tells me. It also, this ability to drop emotional arousal quite quickly kind of bury the hatchet quickly after the argument contributes to a more positive emotional environment, enhancing mutual respect and love. It's awesome to be able to hug it out after an argument versus being like, all right, I'll see you in an hour. And couples who don't harbor resentment for one another are just generally more resilient in the face of future challenges, as studied. People that are agreeable together, communicative together, rational and calm, and get over the inevitable speed bumps pretty quickly are amazing. And in order to see if you can go the distance or that next level with that person you're with that you really like for those other reasons, there's only one thing left to examine. And that's to ask the last question. Is that person getting along better with you and you with them over time? And this is going to define something called the trajectory of compatibility. Did you start out pretty compatible and lately you've been kind of fucking up? Was it about the same the whole time, or is it increasing? Are the instances of disagreement higher or lower, for example? That is, do you get into tiffs more or less? That's not the only question, though. The other question you have to ask is, what are the magnitudes of disagreements? Are they higher or lower on average? Maybe you don't fight over the little things anymore, but you're fighting over big things now all the time, whereas before you didn't used to. Or you fight about big things and it gets nasty, so on and so forth. Are the arguments you're having, let's say you have the same number of arguments you always did, but they're more communicative over time. It used to be the person was but after a few weeks, few months, now they're more open. You still have arguments, but they're more open. Another bonus, if you still have, just like for the example of just for this example, just for hypothetical reasoning, is your proclivity and their proclivity to use logic and arguments getting better over time? That is, are the arguments calmer and more logical over time? Because you can have the same number of arguments, but over time, they're not as serious. Ideally, they're also fewer and farther between. But even if they're not, at least they're less serious. And if not less serious, at least it's a higher degree of communication when you have arguments. And even if it's not a higher degree of communication, maybe the arguments are more calm and logical over time than before, per any given degree of seriousness. And lastly, maybe none of that is really different, but the come downs from the spats are shorter recently versus longer before. So you used to beef for like an hour, and then you have to beef for another hour after, even though it's technically resolved. And nowadays you beef for an hour, then you're a little weird for 5 minutes, then you're good. Or you beef for an hour now, and you're weird for like half a day, where before you could just get over it after an hour. So what is the trajectory of compatibility? And trajectory of compatibility has massive statistical predictive power on the degree of quality of relationship and whether or not you're going to be in a relationship with that person at all down the line. So if you have a higher trajectory of compatibility, it's almost self-referring definition to say, well, shit's better now because shit's better now. And that's a big deal. There are also a little bit of an upside there where increasing trajectory of compatibility actually enhances the resilience of your relationship because it does two things for you. It brings to attention the fact that you used to beef more intensely than you do now. And because you got over it, you're stronger now because you've been through some shit. Great way to get stronger with your partner is to go through some shit. If you've never been through some shit, you can say whatever. You have no idea how strong the shit is. And two, you get to look back and at the same time say, we've been through some shit, but shit's better nowadays than it used to be. That can really improve your relationship in resilience from two factors. One, it builds the resilience through the tough times early, and then it builds confidence that the resilience will continue through the decreasing impact of tough times later. So it's a really big deal. And it also means that ups and downs in compatibility are totally okay. You don't have to be ultra compatible all the time. Everyone has their disagreements. But as long as on average, your compatibility is trending up over time versus stable over time, which isn't terrible. Decreasing compatibility over time is really bad. As long as you're trending up over time, that's a really good sign. That's what builds resilience. having ups and downs, some downs, working through them to higher levels of compatibility. The downside is that if you're in a relationship where compatibility decreases over time, marked by growing disagreements, misunderstandings, dissatisfaction, mistrust, it might signal underlying issues are coming for your relationship and not all is well. If you're dating someone and you find that you're getting along worse over time rather than better, I'll be honest with you fellas, it does not bode well for the future of your relationship. Again, it's not 100% that you're not going to work out, but And also another thing I have to be very clear about, you can actually continue to stay married or whatever for your whole lives till you're 90 and you both croak. You're not guaranteed to have a good time during that time. And it's not guaranteed that someone else you could have picked instead of that person could have been a way better life for you. I know it's fucked up to think about, but it's also true. It's like if you have a scientist who's Jewish in 1937 and he's in Germany and he's like, should I go to America or not? Someone's like, yeah, whatever. Like, no, that's not whatever. Go to America because in Germany you're fucked real hard. In America, you get a great job and help the Allies win the war and all that other shit. So yes, there are correct and incorrect answers to life sometimes. And even if your relationship never breaks up, if it's just shit and getting shittier all the time, you can be in a relationship like that for however long you want. And some people waste a lot of time in a toxic thing that's getting more toxic over time, which is why trajectory is hugely important. That negative trajectory, if it's getting worse over time, you're getting less compatible over time, suggests there are fundamental issues how you and your partner interact to resolve conflicts or align on core values and life goals, which are probably likely to persist unless you have some serious hardcore interventions, significant changes or interventions, often requiring couples therapy. Especially this tends to be the case and come out in many relationships once the sex isn't novel and you're no longer having like a teenage crush on someone. Then you're like, oh shit, I live with a real person who has flaws and they're getting worse over time. Flaws are fine, but our ability to parse them is getting worse. This isn't great. This revelation of the fact that you're not getting along well and haven't been and declining can come down like a ton of bricks on your relationship. Tons of relationships have very low compatibility and poor trajectory, which means they're not so compatible and they go down. But a lot of these folks just don't know that that's the case because they have the rose-colored sunglasses on. You just have a lot of feelings about the person. And that's dope. And then you're not in a position to rationally appraise them. But once those rose-colored sunglasses come off or fade, and they do, relationships others observed that seem so good can fall apart really fast. And if that's your relationship, that's really, really unfortunate. When folks aren't thinking through those 5 compatibility qualities, relationship implosions are definitely a thing once the initial attraction wears off. And people are like, oh, I thought they were doing so well. Like they were never doing well. They just really like to have sex with each other. And that guy really liked to stare at that girl's teeth because they're beautiful. That's how crushes work, by the way. If you don't address these issues, you get continual deterioration, which doesn't mean breakup. It just means things suck. And then some people choose to break up. Some people choose to just take it. Intervention can help this. A lot of therapy is targeted at that. And if you really, really, really like the person and value them, taking a crack at some deeper intervention is totally cool. Get you in couples therapy. It might work. But what I'll say on a personal note, this does not reflect the literature, just my own experience and reasoning, is that hardcore interventions like therapy, couples shit, reading a bunch of self-help books together, determining ways of logically interacting with each other that are very kind of rote and formal to make sure everyone's calm. That kind of stuff all together, it's a trip when you're not even married to a person yet or even engaged or something. What I would say is if your relationship is in a very incompatible place and getting less compatible over time, you tried some shit, it didn't kind of really work. I would say 9 times out of 10, just don't bet on that relationship magically somehow working out. That's real, guys. I'm trying to keep it 100% real on, every channel I'm on, but definitely this one as well. Is that romantic? No. Because like when you really have it for someone like a crush or lust or some shit and it's just not going well, it's super romantic to be like, the world was against us and we fought our battles, but I proposed to Stacy in the end and she said yes. I read shit like that on Instagram and I'm like, well, time to start the clock for when you motherfuckers are getting divorced because the shit happens 9 times out of 10. Romance does not guarantee compatibility. Compatibility guarantees compatibility. So 9 times out of 10, shit's going like that. And you're, as this video describes, in a relationship that's not super committed to that next level yet. Please continue to try to work on it if you like. You don't have to just exit the relationship, but that's a fine idea in many cases. At the very least, don't make more commitments. One of the most, these things are all like, we live in such a beautiful modern world that most of this doesn't fucking matter in any big sense, but in a smaller sense, maybe not so small. Depending on how old you are watching this video, as a matter of fact, if you're like 18, you could have seen this about 150 times in high school already. You'll watch people who are not very compatible, who are showing no signs of improving compatibility, up the ante of their commitment. And you're like, why? Legit, like these 2 people will be in a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, and they're just fucking at war, bro. And it's getting worse. And then you check Insta, or you call up your friend, or you come over, and they're like, engagement. And you're like, okay. Is there some shit I missed? Maybe you missed it. Intimacy's a thing. Maybe you didn't. And maybe those people shouldn't be getting engaged. I know it's crazy to say, but that shit happens. And, same for like, man, even worse is like buying a house. I've known more than a few people, not usually close, but, sort of know them through friends and acquaintances. The relationship is a giant dumpster fire that's increasing in how much fire there is in the dumpster. And they're like, we bought a house together. And you're like, what are you nuts? Do you understand how much paperwork you have to do to split the assets for, never mind. Worse is when they get married because it's a whole clusterfuck. Like real talk, whatever happens with Crystal, my wife and I intend on going all the way through, damn it. But if we have to get a divorce or some shit, I am 1000% totally comfortable with her getting 1/2 of my assigned wealth. No problem. Sign, document. God bless you. That's it. I'm out. Hope it doesn't come to that, but I'm good with it. The thing is, you're in a relationship with someone you fucking don't get along well with. Then you sign the deed of the house. Then you get married without a prenup. That woman or man has taken half of your shit summarily as soon as you divorce. And if you're not good with that, what the hell are you doing? And the last thing I'll say, just because I think this is a very important topic, I'm going to say this pedantically, and I don't mean it that way. It just comes out kind of pithy and funny and all like, oh, I learned something, wisdom-y sounding. There are many ways to say this more compassionately, but I'll say it in a funny way. Just please understand my meaning. You can have whatever kind of relationship you want. We live in a free society. And you can have any kind of relationship you want despite 50 other factors. Do not bring children into this world with someone that you already know is circling the drain in your relationship. You can break up with a boyfriend or girlfriend. You can absolve an engagement. You can divorce someone you were married to, and you can cut the assets 50-50 and there's no net loss and everyone's fucking golden, right? That's a thing. But children are human beings. And if mom and dad didn't even bother to test compatibility in any meaningful way in their 3 months leading up to the pregnancy, or 2 years, doesn't matter, and they're like, we're having a baby boy together, and you're on their Insta like, I thought you guys were at literal war. They are. They were. And that kid is being born into one of 2 things. Not so fun childhood where everyone's at war all the time because mom and dad never fix their shit. Or 2, an inevitable divorce, which tends to seemingly, at least correlationally, affect children in not such a great way. So no, I don't mean to be that pedantic. You can have kids anytime you want. You do not need my approval for that. But as a rational, calm human being that values discourse and philosophy, like clearly you do if you watch this channel, don't fucking bring kids into the mix until you're like, yeah, they cleared all 5 of these, man. Fucking then rock out. But kids are a big deal, man. You can't undo the shit. And it's just sad, low-key sad to see people who even you knew shit disagreeableness, shit compatibility the entire time they were boyfriend and girlfriend. It got worse when they were engaged. It got even worse when they were married. It was a disaster when they bought their house. The pet situation's a non-starter. It's like World War III in that house all the time. And then they're like announcing Zachary, he's going to be born in March. And you're like, what the fuck? Where is Zachary going to be going? To your house with your insane psychotic psychological warfare? It's a thing. Just something to think about. In the big picture, taking all this together, if your initial attraction to someone is awesome, hell yeah, lean into it. At least have some good physical times. With only initial attraction, you can 100% have a great few months with almost anyone. But for longer relationships, the 5 compatibility qualities are better off being there than not. You're looking for someone who's decently agreeable, who's open to communication instead of being shut off, is a fan of at least attempting to logically resolve conflicts versus if you're like, hey, honey, we should kind of discuss the facts. You're like, don't you shut me up. Don't you talk about facts. This is my time and I'm angry. You're like, all right, like everyone's entitled to some of that shit every now and again. But if that's like every time and no time at any point are they calm and logical, not great. If their emotional lag time after conflicts is ideally not super high, 5 minutes after you had it out, you get in the living room and you're like, come here, sit down. Sits down on your lap and you're like, give fucking one of these. And you're like, man, let's hug the shit out. You feel me? And she's like, I feel you. It's all good, bro. And it's all good. It actually is all good feeling. Because it's okay to have fights, man. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to get at each other every now and again for good reason. But if you can finish that argument and sheathe the swords faster than not versus like permanent, or the opposite end is permanent resentment all the time until the fucking person dies. Yeah, it's better. And if these things are getting better over time, which in my relationship, as dumpster fire as it is, hell if I know if it's ending tomorrow, but at least I can say based on my perspective and experience, Crystal and I are doing a little bit better, at least on most of these over time. And we started out pretty damn well. Mostly it's credit to her because she's just a dope bitch. But if it's getting better, even for me, over time, slowly, which is sweet. And if it's getting better for you and all these things are in check, if they seem like they're there for it and they're rocking it and they want it and you want to deepen the relationship and they have in large measure green checkbox these qualities, agreeableness, open to communication, logical resolution of conflicts, low emotional lag time after conflicts, and an improvement in these 4 qualities over time, then all clear, man. You want to deepen the relationship. You want boyfriend, girlfriend to turn into fiance and fiance, husband and wife, co-owners of home, co-owners of child, etc. There's definitely fertile ground for that if these things are doing well. If they seem lacking in these qualities or are in decline on them, think about the thousands of other people out there that could make your life and their own lives so much better. Think about the person that you're with could be with someone that's just more compatible for them. It's not you. And so even they can have it better if you just go your separate ways. Things can be better than what you have now. If you can't clear this 5 checklist situation, or you don't have to get out a fucking book, but if you like watch this video or listen to it and you're thinking about your own girl and you're like, man, we're getting like a 15% out of 100 if we're ranking these at 20 units each and stacking them. Think about it. This person probably hasn't been in your life that long. They're probably pretty fucking random. The reason you started liking them is because like they had like a lip ring and you said something to them about it at a concert and they felt your shit and you felt their shit. That's it. We like Marilyn Manson. That's all we have in common. You don't have to be there if the shit all looks like it's circling the drain. And you can try if you really like them to make it better. But if it's not trajectory up, give some thought to the fact that maybe you shouldn't be in a relationship with them. And sometimes it's just better to be single. And all times it's better to be in a relationship that's better than one that's worse. Do you want to invest in your shit and make it better? Yes. But to take your relationship to that next level, go through this checklist at least very heuristically, very basically in your mind. And if it at least gives you positive vibes, hey man, let's do that next thing. But if it gives you pretty negative vibes, think about either applying some real serious psychotherapy to the situation or about just smoking the last cig and seeing yourself the fuck out. Anyway, let me know if stuff like this is helpful at all. And if you guys like it, throw some comments in there, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.